Okay, so this will be system startup take 2. It's the next day. It's not 3 o'clock in the morning either. Alright. So, always start with the mixer. Tape controller monitor, mixer monitor. I'm going to be redoing the monitors, reconnecting them to accommodate this machine in a better way. But for now, it's wired for production I'm going to be doing. Alright, let's get the analog stuff over with here. So I want to use B-bus. So that right now I'm going to check to make sure analog recorder is working right and didn't have a bad power supply start. And the way that's done, switch mixer to B-bus. And put on background color, put it to neutral gray, set it to neutral gray. Bring it down so that it's right at the bottom of its range, but definitely visible. This is to bring up the noise artifacts, make them more obvious. And then I'll switch the mixer to display the output of the analog recorder, and now we will observe the output and look for the dreaded noise pattern of the failing power supply. But it is not there. It is a good start. It could be a bad relay. Anyway. So the analog setup is now, that's all there really is to it. So make sure to reset and always put this back to black, the background. Good. Take off background. And then next, fire up digital Betacam. Ooh. The control panel's not happy. Looks like I got a few more capacitors to change. Yeah, I bought more capacitors than I put in. I replaced the 2 high voltage ones, and it seems to be calming down. Yeah, it's very capacitor-like. It seems to have stabilized. Definitely need to review that. Weird electroluminescent display, but cool. It is very nice. Alright, so speaking of, the next part of the setup is alright, since I'm not going to be recording on this deck, I'm just going to leave its inputs set to default in, which is digital on all inputs. And as for this panel, let's see, the first thing is time code. switch this to time code. I want not free run, I want it rec run. TCG mode preset, TCG source internal, TC select to auto. Press record to observe how much time has elapsed since I first turned the machine on, which that counter stopped as soon as I switched the run mode to rec from free run. Timer reset. Okay. Nothing to change in Q. Not there, not there. In setup though, I want panel setup, screensaver 3 minutes, 9-pin remote. We're going to be switching that in and out manually because it locks out the keypad when the remote is active. I think that's there's an internal setup to switch it so that when the machine is being remotely controlled, the keypad will still function, and I think that would be a good idea for me to do that. I'll worry about that another time. This is just the beginning. So yeah, that flickering indicates more capacitors need to be changed, but that's okay because I already ordered them. The flickering seems to have calmed down as well, though it's good that the display is receiving less voltage. Good in the sense that it's, you know, it's less likely to get burned in. It might some of the power may not be making it to the display because it's being shorted in the capacitor, which might not be good at all for the power supply that makes the 300 volts for this thing. So anyway, the other thing is to cycle the controls to activate the video chroma and setup controls. By cycling, I mean just do this. Back to how they were. And that means that the setup control is now active, and the setup is set to just ever so slightly less than preset, so it's a little bit darker, and that's because oh geez, yeah, I should put on steady shot here. Sorry about that. But anyway, the setup control is lowered, not because there's anything wrong with the machine, but it's more because the cheap computer output has noise, and the mixer has noise, and that noise ended up on the tape. It always does, but it can be filtered out that way. It's fun. It's a funky way to do it. If anyone wants to donate to this cause, anyway. Alright, so we now have both tape machines that are going to be used are now up and fully ready. So next is the tape controller. This time, probably going to be storing information on yield diskettes. That information is for added ins and outs. But not yet, so we'll worry about that later. So turn on the tape controller. Once again, this. Okay, so what I didn't show last time, critical information, the setup, initial setup, for pre-roll time, that's going to be changed to 3, and 7 color framing is going to be set to 4 field. 2 And then most critical thing really is the system CF reference. Right now it says recorder, and that's going to need to be changed to external because it's getting a feed from the mixer, so that the tape controller is synchronized to the video coming out of the mixer. That enables it to run the videotape machines with much more agility. You see this has gone into its 3-minute screensaver timer there. And that right there is actually about it. Yeah, so what I need to do now is find the basically what I'm doing is recording the final program audio onto the analog master off of the digital source tape. That's mixing down from 4 channels down to 2. The 4 channels have already been recorded onto the Betacam. They're going to be mixed down using these mixers here and fed through the video mixer, and then back into the this mixer, and it is then going to come out XLR here. This mixer only has 2 XLR outs. Right now they're connected to the analog XLR inputs of the analog master recorder. So that's it. The setup is now up and running in its most basic form.